Hey everyone, this is part 2 of our discussion on mineral rights. Hey, so thanks for joining Realtor on the Roof. This is part 2, as I mentioned before. I'm Stephen J.B. Davis, your land specialist and residential realtor here in Central Kentucky. And of course, it seems like more and more I'm not on my roof, but today with our special guest, Larry Dusak, we couldn't meet in person, so we did our whole shebang on Zoom. And as this episode continues, you'll see that I'm not in my house because I have terrible internet reception or signal, whatever you want to call it. So I actually spoke with him over Zoom at my brokerage office in Chevy Chase in Lexington, Kentucky. So in any case, Larry Dusak has been a geologist, or was a geologist, for a long time. He's going to explain all that to you, so just keep watching because the screen's going to change in a second, and we're going to talk about all the things that are minerals and fuel resources and all that stuff here in Kentucky. Enjoy. All right, so now we're here with Mr. Larry Dusak, and I won't stomp on his feet to explain what he did or how long. I'm going to let him do that. But first, I just want to thank you for joining me on my little web series, Larry, and I just really appreciate your time. So can you explain, who you are, what you did, and kind of give us an overview of what a geologist is outside of what your particular job was?
Well, there's a lot of fields in geology. My particular one, I spent 25 years starting off in coal and transitioning from any kind of mineral resource extraction. I was an exploration geologist, so I was into the finding of the mineral and developing the amount of the resource, turning it over to the engineers, then assisting with developing the mine, and then finally the cleanup of the mine. So we turned into a turnkey operation. Then we transitioned from coal to oil and gas to gravels to diamonds to gold. The field is really small, so we ended up chasing work all over the world. So wherever the mineral resource was, that's where we went and developed it.
Where's the most exotic place you've ever been to do your job?
Exotic or difficult?
Both.
Exotic would be Peru. It was just beautiful, and being in the middle of all that culture. Wow. We were into copper and zinc and aluminum mining there. Okay. Difficult would have been Indonesia, wow, out in the forests and transporting everything you need by canoe from one island to another. So
that's amazing. Okay, well, I want to start with the basic idea of what mineral resources are, what fuel resources are. I often get the question from people or the comment, well, what about mineral rights? And I think people kind of use that term as a catch-all for lots of different resources. So could you just tell everyone watching, what's the difference? How are they related? And yeah.
Well, in Kentucky, we're a strange state in that our mineral rights are sellable, dividable. They're very difficult to trace. If you buy a piece of property, you've got to do an extensive title search to know who actually owns the rights to the surface minerals and the underground minerals. Then you've got trees as a resource. You've got gravel and sand. You've got coal, of course, and oil and gas. All those are prevalent in Kentucky. Wow. And it depends on what part of Kentucky you're in. If you're in the north, you've got more limestone, which creates a sand, gravel resource for you. And if in eastern Kentucky and western Kentucky, you've got two different types of coal fields. And in western Kentucky, you've got the gas fields. In eastern Kentucky, you've got shale oil. So your geographic location in Kentucky determines what you should be looking for.
Would you say in central Kentucky, outside of the limestone, have you run into or do you know of an abundant type of resource, around Lexington, Mercer County, like just the immediate area? Is there a lot of mineral or fuel resources to be concerned about here?
Central Kentucky, not so much. You're basically going to be dealing with the limestone,
Limestone, gotcha.
and of course the trees,
Right.
lumber.
Um, so then one thing that I try to drive home with prospective clients or just people who are curious is this idea of something has to be profitable first before it's really a legitimate concern, I guess, for whether rights have been passed on. I always say to people, if you have one tree in your yard, you don't really need to worry about the timber rights of the past because this has never been a forest. So if it's not there, then it's not a concern. But if it's not historically been there, it shouldn't be either. Your wife, my former principal broker, was telling me a story about some of your work done in Arkansas and how that's the natural diamond state. Can you talk about that dynamic and just how things sort of ended there?
Several of the states have gems that, like North Carolina, you can find emeralds, and Arkansas has a diamond deposit that was discovered. Well, I'll just say many years ago. And what they did was in central Arkansas, Murfreesboro to be exact, they plowed up many acres with a dozer with a ripper, and they turned it into a state park. They allowed people to come in and dig for diamonds, and then they would assess the diamonds and buy them back from the people or just give them a certification. Well, somebody got the idea that, hey, what's underneath down deep, because the diamonds they were finding on the surface were marginal. I mean, they're not the stuff you're going to give to a jeweler and put into an engagement ring.
Yeah.
The biggest that they found on the surface in that particular park was a 40 karat canary yellow diamond that Hillary Clinton wore to the inauguration of President Clinton.
No way.
And it's just not the same thing as you see in a jewelry store. It's the value is that it came from Arkansas and it came from the ground and right from the ground into a piece of jewelry, no facets cut or fashioned. So we had the contract to go in and evaluate what was there. So we did a drilling program and a trenching program. And over the course of maybe 4 or 5 years, we developed a scenario that told people what was there. It was a martini glass shaped deposit with about a $25 per carat value. So it was, if you really wanted to try to mine it for jewelry or for rare diamonds, you couldn't make any money off of it. But as I said, the value is that it's unique, and it's unique to Arkansas, and people can go and pick it up. So today it still remains a park where you go and dig at the surface. It just wasn't worth the investment to go underground and mine it.
Gotcha. And off of that, I want to emphasize to people watching that, the question is not always what about mineral rights that you should be asking. It's first figuring out what are the resources around. I didn't ask about coal when I bought my house because there's no coal in this part of Kentucky. It's better to ask what are the resources around, and there are some great government resources to help you find that. Lots of maps. You can go to the United States Geological Survey website and find all sorts of maps about tributary systems, because maybe in the state that you live in, it's water that's an issue. Like here we have riparian rights, but out west, there are appropriation rights, meaning you're not just entitled to water because it's on your property. In Eastern Kentucky, you may be in a part where there just happens to be no coal, which would be odd, but maybe it's trees. You have to ask, what's the resource around you, and then go from there in order to figure out if it's something you need to be concerned about. Because at the end of the day, you'll have to do some extensive title searching, which maybe we'll cover in a different episode. But Larry had mentioned that you've got to go way, way back and connect some dots that are very difficult to connect when you're talking about who owns rights to a particular resource that's been otherwise divided from the right to own the rest of the property. Larry, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate our little trip that we took with your wife out into Eastern Kentucky. That was super interesting. And I hope that you're enjoying retirement so far. It's a weird one, but I appreciate you coming on.
Stephen, you're welcome. But let me just say that anybody that lives in the Bluegrass area, University of Kentucky has the Kentucky Geological Survey stationed on their campus. And as you said, they have hundreds of volumes of maps and books that you can look up the general resource that's in your area, and then you can proceed to a title search from there. I would start with the generic, work to the specific.
Yep.
But the KGS is a very good resource for anybody in this area.
And I will link that at the bottom of this video and whatever platform you happen to be watching, whether it's YouTube or something else. But yeah, there's a lot of great free information out there. So take advantage of it, because it'll help you not be so unhelpfully general about what it is you're looking for. You can be really targeted about the search for property that you want. Thanks again, Larry, and thank you for whoever's watching, wherever you're watching. I look forward to making more episodes, but for now, that's all we got. So adios. Hey, so thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts, your questions, tag someone, or leave a comment below.